There's plenty of sunshine across Europe. There are a few showers around, but otherwise it's feeling very warm out there. A bit breezy across parts of Madeira and the Canary Islands, but across much of Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, lengthy sunny skies. And across Greece as well, not doing too bad. There are just a few showers towards the north of that, but otherwise a lot of sunshine on offer, temperatures up to 34 degrees.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Things are turning a bit calmer and a bit drier overnight. That doesn't mean it's going to be completely calm and dry tomorrow. There will still be a few showers around, but many of us will see a little bit more in the way of sunshine. It's been a boisterous day thanks to this area of low pressure. Still very windy out there across parts of the south where the isobars are particularly close together, but it is starting to ease down through the night. Still some heavy downpours to come across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, and move back into North Wales later in the night as well. And a few showers keep going across Devon, Cornwall and Somerset. But many other areas will become drier. The wind's still fairly brisk, but coming generally a few notches down compared to today's very lively gusts. Temperatures start Tuesday about 10 or 11 Celsius. There will still be showers feeding into northern Scotland on a fairly brisk wind, but much of central and eastern Scotland having a fine sunny start to Tuesday. Much of Northern Ireland as well, but I suspect along the north coast staying fairly cloudy here. There's a line of thicker cloud and some showers that are going to feed across the Irish Sea into northwest England too, and we'll still have one or two scattered showers whizzing across southwest England. They will be moving through because the breeze will remain fairly brisk, and so we'll continue to see that zone of cloudier weather over southwest Scotland and northern England, provide a few showers that may get over the Pennines into the afternoon. One or two scattered showers continue over northern Scotland, but generally the east coast of Scotland, much of the Midlands and much of eastern England, dry and bright with some sunny spells. Winds lighter than today as well, and so feeling warmer with temperatures high teens, low 20s. It doesn't last. Another area of low pressure out here spills more wet and windy weather across the country during Tuesday night. It tries to clear through the course of Wednesday, but the dull, damp weather may linger across the south and northern Scotland. But it should cheer up for Northern Ireland and northern England. Going to stay blustery, however, through Wednesday, with more showery rain to come through the week.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Well, the governor of Utah has revealed that Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin was in a romantic relationship with his transgender roommate. Speaking yesterday, the governor also said that the 22-year-old Tyler Robinson clearly had left-leaning political beliefs and showed a dislike of the conservative influencer, although no clear motive has yet been established as of today. For his part, President Trump has suggested that the political discourse of the radical left targets easily influenced young people and encourages them to incite violence against the right. Meanwhile, here in the UK, shock new research has today revealed that almost 2/3 of under 40s had no idea what the Battle of Britain was and when it happened. Shocking stuff, isn't it? So are young people at risk of being politically radicalised and becoming detached from traditional British values? Well, joining me now is clinical psychologist Dr. Damien Wild. Dr. Damien, thank you so much for joining me. Two bits of information there. I think we'll start off on the political side of things because this is where it gets interesting. Of course, after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we saw this massive outpouring on the internet. And I saw many comments, what seemed from like very young people online, saying, this has radicalized me. This, seeing the footage, seeing the assassination has radicalized me. And of course, we've then got the governor of Utah saying that there was allegedly a relationship between the assassin, the alleged assassin, and his transgender roommate. What do we make of all of this, Damien?
I think there's been a lot going on recently, and I think with the internet, social media, all these forums that people gather in, we have all these echo chambers. There's a lot of political discourse flying around, and I think these radical left-wing groups, you touched upon it before, are targeting vulnerable young people. I mean, these are people who often have come from difficult backgrounds, may have experienced trauma, had a lot of psychological health problems in their life, and they feel lonely, they feel confused. So I think they're easily influenced. And people who run these kind of radical, dangerous left-wing groups target these people, and they jump onto these righteous causes, get involved. And I think then when they're in these kind of echo chambers, they all influence each other with quite inflammatory language. And I think, their aim is to control the narrative. They don't like to sit with views that don't align with their own. And ultimately, their aim is to silence people because they don't like to lose arguments. These are deeply insecure people who carry a lot of anxiety with them, and they want to silence people. And sometimes it's silencing people on the internet through abuse, complaining to the police about people, but ultimately, recently, we've seen the ultimate act of silencing somebody with the death of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, and Damien, because we've seen, of course, many so-called celebrations, should we put it that way, of Charlie Kirk's death. It seems to be coming mostly from left-leaning, or more some would call far left-leaning accounts on social media and people posting TikTok videos. To me, I can't imagine even my worst enemy celebrating their death. It says to me that there's a deep crisis in our mental health of our young people. Is social media to blame here, Damien?
I mean, I think, there's a lot of social modelling occurring. When one person does or says something, it's somebody who speaks similar languages in the same group, they tend to then start to copy each other, right? I think, before the age of the internet, would people have disagreements? Yes, of course they would. Would people challenge each other? Yes, they would. But they'd likely have an argument at school or down the pub or a sports club and then just get on with life. I think the problem now is that young people have all these distractions. You've got things like gaming, you've got the internet, you've got these ideological groups, right? And, with all these distractions, I think young people are not what I would call aesthetically experiencing life. That's when you're engaging all your senses and you're having these in-moment, joyful experiences.
Well, Damien, just while we're
psychologically.
Yeah, well, I want to get back to sort of, because I know there's a lot of this, we talk about America, but going back to the UK, because I talked about that research there, 2/3 of under 40s have no idea what the Battle of Britain was and when it happened. Is the failure going back to schooling here? I know I learned a lot about history back in my day. They were going back at least a couple of decades and more ago when I was at school learning about, of course, our history. But what's the driving factor behind that, do you think? Is it just young people switching off from history?
I mean, I think history is vitally important, because it helps with people's identity, at an individual level and at societal level, and it's important psychologically because it helps people to feel belong, to feel part of something. It helps with social cohesion. So, that story and those stats are shocking. I think in terms of, why are young people not engaging with history? I mean, first of all, it depends upon whether the individual schools are actually teaching it. And I think, certain ideological groups will sometimes put aggressive pressure on schools and organisations and say, are you teaching this? Why are you not teaching this? Or why are you teaching this? And often these organisations are obsessed by corporate image, and, you know, they sort of panic due to fear of bad publicity, and then get drawn into shaping the curriculum or schooling in certain ways to please these groups.
Yeah, and on that note, Dr. Damien, thank you first of all for joining me, because we know Bridget Phillipson's got a massive review of the curriculum coming up. I'm quite worried about what I'm hearing about it, by the way. But thank you so much for joining us, clinical psychologist Dr. Damien Wild. How are we going to foster a generation of patriots in this country if they don't even know what the Battle of Britain is, for goodness sake? Anyway, I want to bring you some breaking news tonight. The first deportation of a Channel migrant under Sir Keir Starmer's one in, one out deal with France, get this, you knew it was going to happen, didn't you, was cancelled at the last minute today. The Telegraph is reporting tonight that one migrant was due to be flown from Heathrow to Paris on an Air France passenger flight, but that flight was postponed amid protests by charities and threats of legal action. Well, we told you so, didn't we? We'll bring you more on that breaking story. Don't go anywhere. Well, also tonight,
I would love reconciliation with my family. I don't know how much longer my father has.
well, in a bombshell interview with who else other than The Guardian, Prince Harry has said he'd like to spend more time in the UK and bring his children home. But in true Harry fashion, he also said he has no regrets, can't believe it, over what he said about the royal family, and he wasn't airing his dirty laundry. So does he deserve redemption? I'll find out in just a few minutes.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's News Channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Well, Prince Harry has revealed that his focus in the coming year will be on rebuilding his relationship with his father, King Charles. Well, the pair met for the first time in 19 months last Wednesday in a tea that lasted 54 minutes. That's very precise, isn't it? Speaking to The Guardian during an unannounced trip to Kiev last week, the Duke said that he thought the meeting had gone well. He added that he would like to spend more time in the UK and even bring his two children, Princess Lilibet and Prince Archie, with him. But in that same interview, Harry also said he has no regrets over what he said about the royal family in his Netflix series and book Spare. Remarkably, he claims he wasn't airing his dirty laundry in public. Well, joining me now is royal commentator Jenny Bond. Jenny, thank you so much for joining me. Quite an astonishing claim that Harry thinks that that book Spare, which I had unfortunately heard excerpts of, wasn't airing dirty laundry about the royal family. What do we make of that?
Well, I think he was probably asked the direct question, you know, why were you airing your dirty laundry? And he took issue with that. He would have been wiser, you are right, not to do so. I mean, this was an interview primarily about his time in Ukraine, but he was clearly asked some personal questions. And Harry can't seem to resist the temptation to talk about personal matters when he would have been better to stay quiet about it. But I'm not surprised he doesn't have any regrets or any conscience, as he put it, about not airing his dirty laundry. He says, and I find this a little bit difficult, he said that there was a difficult message to deliver and he felt and feels that he did it in the best possible way. Now, I don't think he did it in the best possible way. Family matters like this and disputes are far better resolved in private. And I hope that going forward, that is what he will do. But I think there will be a certain amount of dismay at the palace and in royal circles that he has spoken in these personal terms at all.
Yeah, well, it seems to me that, of course, he's trying desperately to get back into the royal circle somehow. You know, he's made some, well, I would say very unroyal-like comments about his father's health in the past. He's now, of course, met with Charles for the first time in 19 months. It's a very long time, particularly when, you know, his two young children haven't even been to the United Kingdom. But, of course, we can't talk about that meeting without talking about the reaction or the alleged reaction by Prince William, who is, of course, still supposedly not giving any leeway to his relationship with Harry. He doesn't want Harry anywhere near Britain, supposedly. Jenny, it seems to me there's no chance of reconciliation. Do you think it's ever possible?
I would say never say never. Families are complicated, and this dispute goes back a long way now. And I think that William has more or less put Harry out of his mind and out of his heart for the last few years. He's had a lot to contend with, as we know, William. And I think he just hasn't had room to think about this issue. Now, it's become more complicated because Harry has come back to Britain. He played an absolute blinder last week. He was brilliant, an absolute natural with the crowds. The crowds weren't huge, but they were certainly very enthusiastic. He is a popular character in certain circles, and he used to be the most popular royalist. I don't think he wants a full-time job back in the UK. I don't think he wants to live back in the UK, but he would like the halfway house, which he tried to achieve, he and Meghan tried to achieve 5 years ago. And that is going to complicate things for William if Harry's back here more frequently and has a relationship again with their father, or as Harry called him. And I thought this was rather nice. Harry called him my dad. He said, I have to put my focus now for the next year or so on my dad. It's unusual, really. He normally says father or papa. And I think that would signal that, you know, he really does love his dad and he wants to see more of him.
Yeah, indeed. And of course, talking about the kids there, his two children, Lilibet and Archie, they've never been to this country despite being prince and princess. Do we expect the next move to be to bring them over here, perhaps with Meghan? Do you think he'd bring Meghan here?
No, they have been to this country. Both of them have been in this country. It's a couple of years ago now.
Oh, right. Beg your pardon. Beg your pardon.
No. And they have met their grandfather, the king. I don't think the noise about him wanting to educate his children in this country has any veracity at all. I don't think Meghan is going to rush back to be here at all. If push comes to shove, she probably will. But her life is in California. And he made very clear in that same interview that he is very happy in his life, very happy with his family, very happy in California. He just wants to be able to come back and reconcile with his father and with his brother, if that's possible. And it might be one day, you know, it really might be, but it's a long way off.
Oh, well, you know what, Jenny? I hope so. I really do. I never like to see a family split apart. It's a tragedy, isn't it? Well, thank you so much for joining me. Jenny Bond, royal commentator as ever. Thank you so much, Jenny. Well, I want to bring you some more of that breaking news tonight. The first deportation of a Channel migrant under Sir Keir Starmer's one-in, one-out deal with France was cancelled at the last minute today. The Telegraph is reporting tonight that one migrant was due to be flown from Heathrow to Paris on Air France passenger flights, but the flight was, as we all knew it would be, postponed amid protests by charities and, of course, the usual threats of legal action. We'll bring you more on that breaking story in just a few minutes. Also, coming up,
the Conservative Party is over. Over as a national party. Over as the principal opposition to the left.
Well, it's sensational, isn't it? Danny Kruger became the first sitting Tory MP to defect to Reform today. So, is Kemi Badenoch toast? And is this the end of the road for the Conservative Party? Well, many people are saying it is, but Zia Youssef is saying that the lifeboat is small for those that want to jump off onto the lifeboat of Reform UK. All of that and so much more. I wonder what's going to be in our front pages tomorrow. I bet you some bombshell stuff on that one-in, one-out deal. We'll bring you that in just a few moments.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Things are turning a bit calmer and a bit drier overnight. That doesn't mean it's going to be completely calm and dry tomorrow. There will still be a few showers around, but many of us will see a little bit more in the way of sunshine. It's been a boisterous day thanks to this area of low pressure. Still very windy out there across parts of the south where the isobars are particularly close together, but it is starting to ease down through the night. Still some heavy downpours to come across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, and move back into North Wales later in the night as well. And a few showers keep going across Devon, Cornwall and Somerset. But many other areas will become drier. The wind's still fairly brisk, but coming generally a few notches down compared to today's very lively gusts. Temperatures start Tuesday about 10 or 11 Celsius. There will still be showers feeding into northern Scotland on a fairly brisk wind, but much of central and eastern Scotland having a fine sunny start to Tuesday. Much of Northern Ireland as well, but I suspect along the north coast staying fairly cloudy here. There's a line of thicker cloud and some showers that are going to feed across the Irish Sea into northwest England too, and we'll still have one or two scattered showers whizzing across southwest England. They will be moving through because the breeze will remain fairly brisk, and so we'll continue to see that zone of cloudier weather over southwest Scotland and northern England, provide a few showers that may get over the Pennines into the afternoon. One or two scattered showers continue over northern Scotland, but generally the east coast of Scotland, much of the Midlands and much of eastern England, dry and bright with some sunny spells. Winds lighter than today as well, and so feeling warmer with temperatures high teens, low 20s. It doesn't last. Another area of low pressure out here spills more wet and windy weather across the country during Tuesday night. It tries to clear through the course of Wednesday, but the dull, damp weather may linger across the south and northern Scotland. But it should cheer up for Northern Ireland and northern England. Going to stay blustery, however, through Wednesday, with more showery rain to come through the week.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, it's 10 p.m. I'm Alex Armstrong covering for Patrick Christys tonight.
The Conservative Party is over. Over as a national party. Over as the principal opposition to the left.
Yeah, a major milestone for Reform UK. Danny Kruger MP, a shadow Conservative minister, has sensationally defected to Reform UK. He's claimed the Conservative Party is over, and I'll be asking if that's true and how many Tories will be allowed to jump into the Reform UK lifeboat. Plus, a major breaking news tonight. The first deportation flight under the one-in, one-out migrant deal with France has been delayed after protests by charities and threats of legal action. Who would have thought it? I'll have all of that and tonight's front pages with Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, journalist Benjamin Butterworth and Reform UK councillor Jamie McIver. And talking of divisive politics, what do you make of this?
There's a darkness coming. It's already swallowed America, and now it's coming for us too.
It's utterly bonkers, isn't it, really? Plus, JD Vance has hit out at the left's celebration of Charlie Kirk's death.
People on the left are much likelier to defend and celebrate political violence. This is not a both sides problem.
Your Tuesday night starts right now. Well, we all knew it was coming. Keir Starmer's migrant master plan is already falling apart. But first, your news headlines at 10 p.m.
Thank you, Alex. Good evening to you. Our headlines. Constance Martin and Mark Gordon have been jailed for a total of 28 years over the death of their newborn baby, Victoria. She was found dead in Brighton in 2023 after the pair went on the run for 2 months to get away from social services after their 4 other children were taken into care. Passing sentence, Judge Mark Lucraft said the pair only thought of themselves and showed no genuine remorse. Gordon will serve a further 4 years on extended licence. Sir Keir Starmer says he would have never appointed Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the US if he'd known the full extent of his relationship with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The Prime Minister's under increasing pressure from his own MPs and from within his cabinet over his judgment and decision-making in regards to Mr Mandelson's appointment and sacking on Thursday. The Conservatives have accused the Prime Minister of misleading Parliament about what he knew and when about the relationship, but Sir Keir insists Lord Mandelson was thoroughly vetted before being given the job.
I knew of his association with Epstein, but had I known then what I know now, I'd have never appointed him. Because what emerged last week were emails, Bloomberg emails, which showed that the nature and extent of the relationship that Peter Mandelson had with Epstein was far different to what I had understood to be the position when I appointed him.
Meanwhile, one of the Prime Minister's top aides has been forced to resign over the emergence of sexually explicit emails about the Labour MP Diane Abbott. Paul Ovenden has stepped down as Director of Strategy after what Number 10 have described as appalling and unacceptable exchanges written in 2017. 8 people have been charged after disorder broke out during protests in central London at the weekend. 26 officers were injured and 24 people arrested at the Unite the Kingdom march organised by Tommy Robinson and attended by around 150,000 people. The Met's also issued photos of 11 others it is trying to trace in relation to the disorder. Danny Kruger has become the first sitting Conservative MP to defect to Reform UK. The member for East Wiltshire has been an MP since 2019 and was Tory leader Kemi Badenoch's Shadow Work and Pensions Minister. Mr Kruger says Reform has the vision the country needs and the Tories are over. The US Vice President's claimed left-wing extremism was a factor in Charlie Kirk's assassination. JD Vance made the comments while hosting Mr Kirk's show from the White House. A memorial to honour Mr Kirk's been set up at Utah Valley University, where he was shot dead at a speaking event on Wednesday. The US Vice President says right-wing activism, the right-wing activist leaves a powerful legacy.
I don't think that I'm alone in saying that Charlie was the smartest political operative I ever met. Everyone knew him as this fearless debater, this guy who would take the conservative message into hostile places and inspire younger generations to have courage. Every single person in this building, we owe something to Charlie. He was a joyful warrior for our country. He loved America. He devoted himself tirelessly to making our country a better place.
Finally, pub giant JD Wetherspoon says it will reduce its food and drink prices by 7.5% on Thursday to highlight a tax disparity between hospitality businesses and supermarkets. The company, which runs almost 800 pubs in the UK and Ireland, hopes to highlight to the government the potential impact of a VAT reduction for the industry. The founder of the chain, Tim Martin, says pubs and restaurants are currently subsidising supermarkets under the legislation. Those are your headlines. I'll be back with more at 11.
Well, be careful what you wish for, Kemi Badenoch.
What I'm doing is turning the Conservative Party into the traditional, authentic conservatism that people recognise. And that's going to mean taking some tough decisions. I'm afraid if people don't like it, then they are welcome to leave.
The Conservative Party is over. Over as a national party, over as the opposition to the left. That is the cry from Danny Kruger MP, a shadow Tory minister who has sensationally defected to Reform UK today, the first sitting MP to do so, little after a year since the general election. He's the son of Prue Leith, the baking queen from the Great British Bake Off. But don't let the scones fool you. He's baked his own path in politics. Educated at Eton and Oxford, Kruger served as a speechwriter and political secretary to Boris Johnson during his time as London Mayor and later in Number 10. Elected as the Conservative MP in 2019, now redrawn as Wiltshire, East Wiltshire, he's been a vocal social conservative championing family values, faith and a hardline stance on issues like abortion and immigration. He's a devout Christian. He's co-founded the New Conservatives group, pushing for a return to traditional Tory principles amid the party's post-Brexit identity crisis. Here he is, speaking in Parliament earlier this year.
And a new restoration is needed now, a revival of the faith, a recovery of Christian politics, a refounding of this nation on the teachings that Alfred made the basis of the common law of England all those centuries ago. This is a mission for the Church, under its next leader, whoever that is. It's a mission for this place, this old chapel, which became the wellspring of Western democracy, and for us, its members. And it's a mission for our whole country, the route to a prosperous modernity, founded on respect for human dignity, responsibility for the created world, and the worship of God.
Well, I thought this was the kind of MP Kemi Badenoch wanted to keep. Well, after the Conservatives' humiliating drubbing in the 2024 general election, Kemi Badenoch emerged as the new leader, promising to steer the party back to its traditional roots. But tensions have been simmering. Just last week, Kemi Badenoch may have sealed her own fate when she said, "If you don't like my leadership, then leave." Bold words. Kemi almost prophetic, as it turns out, because here comes Kruger, the first sitting Tory MP to heed that call and bolt to reform. He's been heavily rewarded for his defection, as he will now lead Reform's preparation for government unit, getting the party ready for potential government. But is it a bit cynical? In Kruger's own seat, Reform UK are leading the Tories by a 7-point margin. So is he jumping before he's pushed? And many, of course, are today repeating an ever louder message. How many more Tories will Reform UK keep on accepting? It's a careful balance, isn't it, Farage has got to find here, as he definitely needs Tories who understand the corridors of power in Whitehall, but also he's really got to avoid becoming the Tory party 2.0, doesn't he? But let's get back to the big question. Is the Tory party now dead? Buried under the weight of infighting, scandals and electoral oblivion? Once the natural party of government, reduced to a rump of 121 MPs, polling at an abysmal average of 17%, watching as Reform UK nips at their heels with just 5 seats and, of course, a dream of many more. Is this symptomatic of a deeper rot in Kemi Badenoch's slow and steady leadership, with many people criticising her lacklustre PMQ's performances as an example of that? Well, it seems to me Reform UK is clearly trying to position itself as the true heir to Thatcherism for the Conservative right. And now with Kruger gone and whispers of many more to follow, is Kemi Badenoch toast? Is it time to let the Conservative Party die? Well, before I get the thoughts of my panel, I'm now joined by former Conservative Justice Secretary Sir Robert Buckland. So, Robert Buckland, thank you so much. Thanks for joining me. Now, of course, this is a big problem for Kemi Badenoch. She's seeping away support, seeping away Tories. We saw defections in MSP not that long ago. We're seeing councillors defect left, right and centre. Is the Tory party now in terminal decline?
Well, the Tory party is a very resilient part of our politics. It's the oldest party in British politics. The Tory party, with its roots deep in, ironically for Danny Kruger, in the church and in the institutions of this country, has been written off many times in the past. And you know what? It has survived and thrived. We're going through a very difficult period. There's no doubt about it. I lost my seat in the last election along with many other people, and it's proving a long, hard road. But, you know, I'm a great believer in John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, and Danny's perhaps forgotten the lesson of that, which is you take the hard way to go, better though difficult, the right way to go than wrong though easy, where the end is woe. And I'm afraid Danny's taken the easy path today. And whilst Reform are doing well, their opinion polls are very much in their favour, we've got a long way to go before this election. And I think the Conservatives make a mistake if they focus just on reform instead of looking at the wider picture as well, to see where many other former supporters of the party have gone to, whether they voted Lib Dem or Labour or other parties. We need to work hard to recover confidence and competence and that sense of optimism and energy that I think an opposition party needs.
I totally agree, and I do think, to a large extent, Kemi Badenoch's leadership is to blame here. She does want this slow and steady approach, but in a modern British politics setting where things are moving so quickly, you need to be responsive, and one of the things that Farage is exceptionally good at is getting on top of communications, communicating to the public. Kemi Badenoch seems to be lost in all of that. But let me just ask you one question very quickly, Sir Robert.
Yeah.
Should MPs that defect call a by-election in their areas?
Yes, I think they should. You know, I'm one of Danny's constituents. Part of his seat was my old seat of South Swindon. And I think a lot of us feel, well, look, we voted Conservative. We voted for a Conservative MP, and now he's gone off to another party. He should have the courage of his convictions and face the electors in a by-election. And you know, there are precedents for this. You remember the UKIP candidates like Douglas Carswell. They had the courage to stand for election, and they won. Now, you know, put up or shut up, frankly, and call that by-election, and let's see what happens. I'm not sure it will be a slam dunk for reform, because at the last election they came a very distant third or fourth in that seat. Perhaps that's the real reason why they don't want to fight in East Wiltshire this time.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me, Sir Robert Buckland, former Conservative Justice Secretary there. I want to move on to my panel. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, Reform UK, and rising star councillor Jamie McIver, and Benjamin Butterworth, the same old journalist as ever. Yes. Falling star, falling star. Jamie, I'll start with you, of course, because you're a Reform UK councillor. A big day for you politically, because this is the first sitting MP that's defected to you. Zia Youssef was tweeting earlier on saying the lifeboat is limited. How limited is it really?
Well, first of all, as the only party in British politics that wants to control the country's borders, one thing we will absolutely be doing is controlling our party's borders. And Nigel has been very clear on this. People that want to contribute to our party, save our country, believe in family, community, country are welcome. But we are not a lifeboat for every Tory MP that thinks they're going to lose their seat at the next election. Let's be very clear about that, and the same goes in local government too. What I think is very interesting about this particular defection today, and firstly, big welcome to Danny to Reform UK. We have here a very well-respected parliamentarian across the political divide, somebody that's worked very hard behind the scenes, isn't one of those people that want the headlines. We see that with some of the pathetic shadow ministers that come on our TV at the weekend. You think, oh my God, do your own party a favour and say you're busy rather than go on Sunday politics shows.
Jamie?
Well, let's be honest. If you was in charge of CCHQ comms at the moment, I think the best strategy would be don't go on TV, because they look ridiculous every time they do. But I think what's very interesting about this, Alex, I think it's the start of people realising we are the next party of government, and Reform UK now have a government preparation department, and I think the British people should be very excited about that.
All right, Benjamin, I'll come straight to you because I can see you itching to go. Go on.
Well, if the question is the Conservative Party over? Well, no, they're just taking people for idiots. They think you swap the rosette with the exact same people and you won't get the same results that we had for the last 14 years. I mean, let's look at what they've announced in the last, 2 or 3 months. First of all, you've got Boris Johnson, you know, the guy that let 1 million migrants in a year. They appointed his fixer, a man that's usually in this seat, Sir Jake Berry. He was taken into Reform. So the guy that, you know, helped the immigrants get in was let in. And then you had Nadine Dorries. They said we're against the Online Safety Act. So they brought in the Conservative minister that wrote the Online Safety Act. And then now today you've got Danny Kruger, the guy that was the speechwriter for David Cameron about Hugger Husky or whatever it was he was going on about it. Right? And the other thing about Danny Kruger, you had 5 Tory Prime Ministers, 14 years, and he was almost the only Tory MP to never get a government job, which tells you something about what those close to him.
Hands are clean.
Can I just to finish?
Let him finish.
It is. You know, I'm on the left, right? But I feel sorry for those right-wing people putting their faith in Reform, because the elite of Reform are taking them for idiots. They think they can just give them Tories and they won't notice.
Go on, Carol.
This guy, Danny Kruger, is totally different from the other people you just mentioned. He's a serious political operator who has a lot to lose. He's in a very safe seat. in East Wiltshire, and that is a traditional Tory seat, so he would not have lost that seat. He's got more to lose than Jake, with the huges of respect to him, and then Nadine Dorries or Andrea Jenkins, because they didn't have seats. He has. But this guy is one of the Tories' brightest and most creative policy.
So bright, he never got a job.
No, he's had loads of jobs.
Not one.
He doesn't have. Hang on a second. Yes, he has had jobs. He was in the shadow cabinet for defence and in the Department of Work and Pensions. So you're talking talk.
And as soon as they got the handle on the tools, they thought, no, he's not good enough.
Let Carol finish.
But he helped mastermind Boris's campaign. He was political secretary for him. Boris came home with the biggest Tory...
For 3 months.
Tory majority in the Tories' history. So let me finish. But also, this guy, when you see how the Tories finished, yes, they are, because if he says they are, you have to believe they are, because he believes he's a conservative, and he believes in everything that the people who believe in reform believe in. He loves Britain, its history, its institutions, and he wants to save all of those, and he wants to secure our vote. He's perfect for reform.
All right.
Different class from the other.
Jamie, I want to come back to you because I take what Benjamin's saying. He didn't have a job, at least a good job, in any previous...
He didn't.
Hang on. But is there...
As he said, not a good job.
Hang on, because my point was going to be, is it because the Tories just went so liberal that they didn't want someone as conservative-minded as Danny Kruger, because he is what many would describe as quite a philosophical conservative, which they seem to have moved very, very far away from.
Well, I know from my own experience in the Conservative Party when I was a member of it that anybody that is a bit too conservative gets shut up, basically. So I can imagine somebody on the right of the Conservative Party never being considered for a job because they might accidentally one day share a conservative view. What I think is very interesting is the question is the Conservative Party dead? The Conservative Party was dead the minute Nigel Farage announced he was running in a general election for Clacton. The Conservative Party officially died. I think the death certificate was May's local elections when they lost control of all those county councils. And actually what we are now seeing is reform delivering in local government, which is giving the electorate a very good insight as to what will come of our national government. And I actually think now we have a department in our party preparing for government, the electorate are going to get very excited.
And that's what Kruger is going to do. He's going to help prepare reform for government. But I think the reason this move is really dangerous for Kemi Badenoch is because what it's saying is his defection. It was only a year ago he said that Reform were a dangerous party. But this defection shows that the Reform is now above the respect threshold, and other people who are thinking of defecting will think, Danny Kruger's done it, we can do it now.
OK, very, very briefly, I just want to ask you, is Kemi Badenoch toast at least by next year?
Oh, yes. She was toast the day she got elected. I mean, you could hardly find someone... You know, you look at Keir Starmer and think sometimes he really doesn't seem to have the right skill set. Kemi Badenoch is on a whole other level. A person whose job is to get attention so people listen, who refuses to talk to anyone and refuses to listen to anyone. She is just hopeless.
And both her and Starmer...
To be fair, I think anyone would flee that shit.
Maybe they're all done at this point. I honestly think the two major parties are really going to struggle from here on out, because I think the public, Carol, very, very briefly, if you don't in 10 seconds, are fed up with them. What do you think?
They are, but both of them, both Badenoch and Starmer, missed the rise of reform. They just kept on dismissing them as a party of racists. And here they are now 15 points ahead of Labour.
Well, there we go. Well, time now for our latest, greatest British giveaway. And it's your chance, not our chance, it's your chance to win our biggest prize worth over 100k. It includes a 4-berth motorhome worth over 74 grand and 30k in tax-free cash. Should be able to read that better considering I read it 5 times tonight. Here's how you enter.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benimar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, good luck, everybody. Coming up, I'll have the very first of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. And is J.D. Vance right?
People on the left are much likelier to defend and celebrate political violence. This is not a both sides problem.
Ooh, but before that, in breaking news tonight, The Telegraph is reporting, of course, we all knew it was coming, that the first one-in, one-out migrant deportation flight has been delayed after protests and, of course, legal action. We knew it, didn't we? All the latest on that major breaking news in just a few minutes.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welsh women say they were stunned when an Airbnb host rejected their booking with the only explanation given, because you're from Wales. The pair had planned a night out in Manchester to attend a concert, but now accuse the host of outright xenophobia. One of them joins us now live to share exactly what happened and why she believes it's a case of discrimination. Joining me now is Gemma Louise Goff. Gemma, thank you so much for joining me. I can't believe your story. It sounds astonishing. So basically, you and your friend, you're in your 30s, you're not exactly, teenagers, you're not a group of young men, booked an Airbnb to go and see a gig. Tell me what happened then.
Well, we found the Airbnb. It looked really clean. It was in the centre. It was exactly what we wanted. Just a bed for the night. And we messaged, we paid up front, and she then messaged within the hour, sorry, we had the email saying that it was declined and refunded. So we'd messaged and said, like the message says, really politely, hi, why has it been declined, with a kiss on the end? And she literally only wrote that one word, and Wales was in capital letters, so it was more like against Wales. It was utter shock.
What did you think when you... did you think it was a joke? Maybe she was sort of like, had messaged you when she was drunk and it was just a joke? Or... I can't believe anyone would actually say that.
I've never faced discrimination on any level before, so the experience was quite surprising and unsettling at the same time. But I was in utter shock. It made me feel instantly like an outsider and not welcome for the simple fact I'm from Wales.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. You're not going mad. It is Monday night. It does feel... I have been saying Tuesday quite a lot, because I think it feels like Groundhog Day, doesn't it? Keir Starmer's still here, Peter Mandelson's scandal still going on. And, of course, we're back to talking about migrant deals that never take off, aren't we? Well, because, of course, let's get on to it, shall we? Because breaking in the last hour, The Telegraph understands that the first deportation flight carrying Channel migrants that was set to take off today was... cancelled, inevitably, wasn't it? That was cancelled at the last minute amid protests by charities and, of course, threats of legal action by your besties, human rights lawyers, I would have suspected. Well, GB News sources earlier confirmed that the first Channel migrants are set to be deported on Air France passenger flights later this week. And the arrangements for the first deportations have been agreed under Sir Keir Starmer's one-in, one-out deal with the French, and shockingly, asylum seekers are expected to be escorted by contracted Home Office security staff on commercial flights alongside paying passengers rather than charter aircraft. That's according to The Telegraph. Well, joining me now on Monday night is immigration expert and commentator Dr. Mike Jones. Dr. Mike, thank you for joining me. And I do feel like it's like Groundhog Day, isn't it? We remember this happening and expected this to happen with the Rwanda bill. Every single time we try to deport these migrants back to where they came from, we end up with the same story, don't we? That they can't leave, there's protests by charities, and the human rights lawyers have dug in their heels. What on earth is going to happen next?
Well, it is Groundhog Day. Deportations will be challenged under the Human Rights Act. I'm 95% certain that will be the case. Lawyers will reach for Article 3, the ban on inhuman or degrading treatment, perhaps citing, mental health conditions or claims of trafficking. Others will invoke Article 6, the right to a fair trial, by attacking the process that rendered their asylum applications inadmissible in the UK. And a smaller number perhaps will lean on Article 8, the right to a private and family life if they have relatives here. But my suspicion is that Articles 3 and Article 6 will become the main battlegrounds. But again, this is Groundhog Day. Unless you reform the Human Rights Act or get rid of it altogether, this is just going to keep happening.
Indeed, yeah, because obviously, as I said before, we've seen this same issue come up time and time again. Is it the case that the Prime Minister rushed through this deal with France to show something to the British public? Because, of course, we know he's been pivoting on the spot because Reform UK are hot on his heels and leading the polls by a substantial amount now. Are these deals just being rushed through by the man that claims to be all over the detail and that wants to get this done right? Of course, now we see that it's not going to take off. Is that the case here, Dr. Mike, or is it just impossible until we change legislation in this country?
Yeah, the one-in, one-out policy is all about optics. Sir Keir Starmer wants to manage public relations. He doesn't want to solve the Channel migrant crisis. Those are two fundamentally different things. Listen, the government wants to deport 50 illegals a week. That's about 2,600 a year, but more than 31,000 have already crossed the Channel this year alone. So 50 migrants a week is a drop in the ocean. Faced with those odds, most illegals will still fancy their chances. This is purely about optics. It's about managing public relations and giving the impression that the government is on top of this. But it's not going to work. It didn't work for the Tories, and it's not going to work for the Labour Party.
Yeah, Mike, it seems to me, whatever happens now, we've got to have a serious conversation, and the government are going to be scrapping. I'm sure the Home Office is losing its mind over this. They're now suffering a similar humiliation to Boris and Rishi and others who have tried to do this. But it seems to me they may now be forced to have that difficult ideological conversation in the Labour Party about leaving the ECHR and reforming the Human Rights Act. Two things we know that the vast majority of Labour MPs do not want them to touch.
Yeah, I agree. The Red Wall Labour MPs, sort of in the north of England, are having this difficult conversation at this moment in time. But obviously the Parliamentary Labour Party, the party that resides in Westminster, is dominated by predominantly left-wing MPs, including Keir Starmer himself. And, Keir Starmer is a human rights lawyer. He's emotionally and ideologically committed to that piece of legislation. But the problem is that's the root cause of the Channel migrant crisis. If you don't get rid of the Human Rights Act, then you can't stop the boats. It's that simple. You can't create a deterrence effect, and you can't detain and deport. But the problem is Keir Starmer wants his cake and he wants to eat it. He wants to keep the Human Rights Act, so he's scrambling around the edges, trying to find alternative schemes to stop this crisis. But it's not going to work. He's reshuffling deck chairs on the Titanic, and it's going to backfire completely.
Absolutely spot on there. Dr. Mike Jones, immigration expert and commentator. Thank you for joining me. It's a complete disaster. It's an utter disaster for this government. Can they do anything right? Well, coming up, I'll have more on that breaking news. Of course, the one in, one out. Migrant deportations flights have been grounded. I want to repeat it again, grounded. They never even took off because of legal threats. And there's more ahead of his arrival, of course. President Trump has decided to go easy on our crisis-hit Prime Minister. A complete humiliation perhaps incoming. All of tomorrow's newspaper front pages are coming right next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, well there's plenty of sunshine across Europe. There are a few showers around, but otherwise it's feeling very warm out there. A bit breezy across parts of Madeira and the Canary Islands, but across much of Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, lengthy sunny skies. And across Greece as well, not doing too bad. There are just a few showers towards the north of that, but otherwise a lot of sunshine on offer, temperatures up to 34 degrees.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Things are turning a bit calmer and a bit drier overnight. So that doesn't mean it's going to be completely calm and dry tomorrow. There will still be a few showers around, but many of us will see a little bit more in the way of sunshine. It's been a boisterous day thanks to this area of low pressure. Still very windy out there across parts of the south where the isobars are particularly close together, but it is starting to ease down through the night. Still some heavy downpours to come across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, and move back into North Wales later in the night as well. And a few showers keep going across Devon, Cornwall and Somerset, but many other areas will become drier. The wind's still fairly brisk, but coming generally a few notches down compared to today's very lively gusts. Temperatures start Tuesday about 10 or 11 Celsius. There will still be showers feeding into northern Scotland on a fairly brisk wind, but much of central and eastern Scotland having a fine sunny start to Tuesday. Much of Northern Ireland as well, but I suspect along the north coast staying fairly cloudy here. There's a line of thicker cloud and some showers that are going to feed across the Irish Sea into northwest England too, and we'll still have one or two scattered showers whizzing across southwest England. They will be moving through because the breeze will remain fairly brisk, and so we'll continue to see that zone of cloudier weather over southwest Scotland and northern England, provide a few showers that may get over the Pennines into the afternoon. One or two scattered showers continue over northern Scotland, but generally the east coast of Scotland, much of the Midlands and much of eastern England, dry and bright with some sunny spells. Winds lighter than today as well, and so feeling warmer with temperatures high teens, low 20s. It doesn't last. Another area of low pressure out here spills more wet and windy weather across the country during Tuesday night. It tries to clear through the course of Wednesday, but the dull, damp weather may linger across the south and northern Scotland. But it should cheer up for Northern Ireland and northern England. Going to stay blustery, however, through Wednesday, with more showery rain to come through the week.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight with me, Alex Armstrong, only on GB News. Shall we get your front pages? Should we get to them now, shall we? Let's do it. Let's do it. The Metro, a Starmer hit by strategy chiefs Abbott sex jibe. I really want to talk about this story. I think you're going to be surprised what I have to say about this. On to the Independent. PM, I'd never have given Mandelson the job if I'd known. Now, this is what, the fourth day of this, and the headline's not good. The Eye. The Eye is saying Starmer fights for his future as Mandelson row deepens and key aide resigns. Yep, not good. Daily Express. Millions will face another surge in food bills. I was warning about this not that long ago. Yeah, inflation is back on the rise, everybody. The Guardian. crisis for Prime Minister Groves as aide quits over lewd remarks about Abbott. And the Daily Telegraph. This is all just humiliation for Keir Starmer, isn't it? Trump to go easy on embattled Starmer. Well, I think we have to start with that, don't we? I've got my fantastic panel here. Rising Reform UK star, as I said earlier, Jamie McIver, someone called Benjamin Butterworth, and Express columnist and superstar Carol Malone.
I was the future once.
You will be. You are the future.
A long time ago, Benjamin, a long time ago. Well, look, let's start on the Telegraph show, because this is not a good look for Keir Starmer. Supposedly, President is flying in knowing Prime Minister's on the ropes, Carol, and not looking good.
I mean, how embarrassing that Trump, you know, he can't be his normal ebullient self and can't give Starmer a hard time. More importantly, can't tell him what to do, because actually Trump does know what to do to save this country, but Starmer doesn't listen to him. But, you know, how embarrassing for us that the leader of the free world has come to this country. And this visit could have been so important for us, you know, because so much could be done for Britain as a result of this visit. But you know it's not going to be, because Trump's not going to do business with a guy who's probably going to get fired in the next 6 months. He's not going to make any concessions or do any deals or anything, because he knows he's on the way out. And how embarrassing for Starmer, knowing that Trump knows all his terrible business, that his government in 2 weeks has been rocked by 2 monumental scandals, one of which involves the US ambassador.
We've got a third scandal now, haven't we, with this aide resigning? But we'll get to that in a second. But Benjamin, whatever way it's spun, you know, 2 days ago I was here at GBNews going, Keir Starmer is reportedly going to be unleashing his inner Winston Churchill. This is the exact opposite to Churchill, isn't it? This is a man who's going with a begging bowl to Donald Trump. That's why he's going easy on him.
Well, you're begging for failure, but the fact is that actually Trump...
I don't want him to fail, but he's failing.
You're desperate for it. You're gutted that they've got such a great relationship. Trump and Starmer have got on fantastically from the start.
Go on.
They have. It's called free speech. Get over it. They've got on fantastically. They really have. They've had a great relationship, and actually, you know, for example, the trade deal that previous Secretaries of State and Prime Ministers had all failed to do under Biden and Trump Mark I. Well, actually, they managed to get this done. That's hugely beneficial to both our countries. And they've had a strong relationship. Trump constantly praises Keir Starmer. They're very unlikely allies, but they're good allies. And actually, this Telegraph story has Steve Bannon, the sort of right-wing strategist, saying that Trump doesn't want to undermine Starmer because it's about the Anglosphere. It's about the West being strong and allied. And I think we should be grateful for that. And I think we should, you know, even I'm willing to tolerate Trump in that context because there's bigger questions.
Tolerate Trump.
But
all right, Jamie.
Starmer is petrified of Trump. Exactly. You can see it in the body language, even the headline, Trump to go easy. I mean, how embarrassing that the British Prime Minister, oh, please go easy on me. My credibilities are so low. Please say something nice to me. You just know that Starmer's praying that Trump's going to say the Prime Minister's doing a good job. And he probably will say, because he has to say it. But let's be real. You're got a US visit, state visit. The Prime Minister's asking you to go easy. The previous Foreign Secretary used to make fun of you and speak at protests about you. And you haven't even got a US ambassador. It's a shambles.
Yeah, well, look, before I want to come back to this, Benjamin, because there's a clip here from potentially some of your friends, perhaps. Should we just show it quickly, shall we?
There's a darkness coming. It's already swallowed America, and now it's coming for us too.
Some say woke, we say weakness. They call it diversity, we call it dilution. I fight for the British Defence League. Now I'm asking you, stand with me, patriots together, keeping Britain pure.
We can see where all of this is taking us, so show up on the 17th. Let's sign up right now.
I can't imagine what was going through their heads when they made that video, making it look like Britain is being occupied by some sort of Nazi fascist regime when we've got socialists running the country. Benjamin, it's ludicrous, isn't it?
Well, it certainly felt like it was being occupied by those people last Saturday, that's for sure.
It a rest. But the British public, wonderful people.
Yes.
You know, wonderful people.
Decent people who love their country.
Well, let's not have the argument again.
Well,
They've had it all weekend.
Again.
But, you know, I think Trump's politics and that version of American right-wing politics is deeply un-British. It's not in our tradition, it's not who we are. And I think standing up to that kind of division, that hatred, that fake news that is constantly pumped out by Trump and his allies.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, in the context of US president. But
you're going to be at the coalition rally, will you?
No, I don't leave the house unless there's a fee. But in the context of what they're doing, protesting, standing up for it, I think that's something to be proud of because we are a more tolerant, stronger nation than the MAGA politics.
They are democracy haters. They are the people that would love to see the elections elections cancelled because they know Labour haven't got a chance. These are people that don't like ordinary British people, the sort of people I represent in Ongar, who get up in the morning, go to work, they see the country failing, they see their patriotism being eroded. And by the way, those people at the weekend, some of those are my family, and they're wonderful people. They get up every morning, some of them work in the NHS. They are people that want their country back, and the only way we get that is at the ballot box. And that is why I think people like that awful video we just watched. The reason why people like that are getting annoyed is because they've lost the argument. Socialism has been defeated within less than a year of this awful government. Carol.
I mean, change is coming, and actually I do think reform are probably at the heart of it, but that demonstration on the weekend on Saturday just showed how deep the anger and the frustration people are. And they're frustrated at this government for not listening to them. And for you know, and people like Benjamin and a lot of the lefties. I mean, Diane Abbott at the weekend saying they were all racist, they were all left-wing. I mean,
well, there were many racists.
Let's look at what happened on Saturday. There were 23 arrests. Go back to the Notting Hill Carnival a few weeks before, and there were 423 arrests, and 60 police officers were injured. That didn't happen at this thing on Saturday, and there were nearly 200,000 people there. More.
I've got bad news for you because look, I was there. I went and interviewed people. I went and spoke to them, and they're genuine people. There's children there. There's people from all races, black, brown, Asian, you name it. Everyone from different religions were there too. And to call those people racist, and for the left to stand on the other side there with people like Diane Abbott going, these are fascists, these are racist, they couldn't be more out of touch. And it's this kind of divisiveness, Benjamin, and that's ruining our country.
There is only one political party that's been found to be institutionally racist, and that is the Labour Party. When people like Diane Abbott were senior figures.
Yes.
What, you don't think the EDL was institutionally racist? The thing that Tommy Robinson ran and the guy that was behind this Saturday protest? I don't think everyone there is a racist or far-right by any means, but the people that got up on stage, some of them clearly were. One of them...
mum from Epping.
One of them spoke of wanting Christian supremacy in this country, right? That is a racist idea. That is not a very British idea. I wouldn't want to be a march like that.
OK, look, we've got some breaking news on the front page of the Daily Mail, of course. We want to talk... This is coming up. A key Starmer aide has been sacked over unearthed text messages. But does anyone really deserve to be fired over messages from, well, in this case, 7 years ago? My panel's going to get stuck into that in just a few minutes. See you soon.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
What I want to talk about now, though, is a Christian street preacher who was shut down by London's Transport Police outside King's Cross Station. Now, she has exclusively spoken to GB News, claiming that Christians are being heavily persecuted in this country and that police are not doing this to other religious speakers. Shocking, indeed, if true. Well, are we living in this two-tier approach by the authorities that we hear so much about? I'm delighted to say I am joined now in the studio by that street preacher herself, Monique Bailey.
It is true that the police did tell us that you need a permit, so that is truth, but it's the way it was handled. She was very... It was just astonishing. I just couldn't believe how a police person could come against us like that. Like, we were abiding by the rules. And by the way, I didn't actually put the full clip on just to, in a way, save her, because it actually got worse.
OK.
Yeah.
Monique, can I just quickly ask, if you take a step back and look at Britain, you know, as a Christian, you see the demonstrations that we've had since October 7th, some would say pro-Hamas, anti-Israel demonstrations, pretty overt displays of anti-Semitism. We've had the Lucy Connolly case. We've had, I would argue, clear evidence of a two-tier approach within our judicial legal system. Do you think that we are actually now entering a society where some groups, some religions are treated much more harshly than others? Do you think, for example, if you had been a Muslim preacher in King's Cross Station, the reaction would have been the same?
Yeah, of course, every religion gets something thrown at them, but I do think, of course, Christianity is the most persecuted, and I do think we will see it more.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Patrick Christys tonight with me, Alex Armstrong, only on GB News. Should we go through some more of your headlines, shall we? The Daily Mail, check this one out. Starmer's socialist utopia goes into meltdown. What about that for a headline, eh? We'll talk about that in a second. The Sun, they're leading as suspect freed, Maddie stolen to order. OK, interesting, we're still talking about that, OK. The Times, Mandelson emails add to pressure on Starmer. OK, let's go back to my panel, shall we? Because I really want to talk about that Daily Mail front page. Starmer's socialist utopia in meltdown on the eve of Donald Trump landing on the tarmac here in the United Kingdom. Benjamin, it's not looking good.
Well, you said that like Trump.
It's not looking good, Benjamin. Terrible
exactly.
time, terrible time.
And you're almost as orange. Do you know... I mean, look, the Daily Mail would say this, and it has been saying this from day one, so I don't take its concept of meltdown too seriously. But I do think there is a very serious problem, and you're seeing that now. So this aide that no one's, I hadn't heard of him, but he was sort of on the moderate side of the Downing Street operation, and he made inappropriate messages, rude messages about Diane Abbott in a WhatsApp chat back in 2017. Why were they leaked now? Well, what that says is that there is a fight for control of Downing Street, that there are two tribes at war over who's going to control the party. You've got it with the deputy leadership election. And I think the problem that you see with Keir Starmer is that because he doesn't have a narrative, he doesn't have a story to tell, even people like me that are inclined to support him, it's hard to know what you're supporting at times. And so unless by conference season in, 1 week, 2 weeks' time, unless he can articulate his vision and why people should back him, then I think he will be in trouble.
Yeah, Jamie, listen, I'll come out with this. Maybe the audience will disagree with me. I don't think this bloke should have been sacked for these messages. I've read them. They're stupid. They're dumb. They're a bit lewd, for sure. But it's a private conversation you have with people. You don't sack people over private. This seems like a ploy to me, if I'm being... Put my conspiracy theory hat on for a second. It seems like a ploy to me to move the conversation on away from Mandelson and focus on a new scandal, which is Starmer can look like he's had a bit of control over.
Well, I think you could be right there. And I think, actually, fortunately now, the British people are far more clued up to this sort of stuff, and people be reading that and saying, well, that's just because he's having a really bad week, let's try and distract the news. Let's face it, the Prime Minister appears to have appointed somebody to a very serious position in British diplomacy who was known to be a friend of a convicted paedophile. Nothing will distract from that. It's terrible judgment. The fact he's got any connection with the guy was bad judgment in itself. But I think the point you're making is true, is that it seems like number 10 and the whole press operation around the Prime Minister is totally failing. I mean, their comms are horrific. They are the most unpopular government, still should technically be in a honeymoon period. Yep. And also, let's not forget that there's not a good word about this government anywhere. And so, meltdown, it's been in meltdown for ages. I think the headline's already out of date, but the fact of the matter is, you can only melt down so much. Eventually, you come to breaking point, and I think we're at the start of that.
Carol, do you think someone should be sacked for those kind of messages? I don't know if you've read them or seen them. What do you think?
No, I don't think there should be. These messages were 8 years ago. This is very politically motivated to me. Look, however you could it, Starmer is dead man walking. And yes, you're quite right. There is a battle on for the leadership. And the people who want Andy Burnham to take his place, some of those people are actually in Downing Street. So it makes, but I've got to say, I don't know what you guys think about the thought of Andy Burnham as Prime Minister. Burnham twice campaigned to be leader of the Labour Party. Twice he lost, once in 2010 and once in 2015 to Ed Miliband, for God's sake. If you can't beat Miliband,
that's a good point.
You're in huge trouble. He is not Prime Minister material. He's a man of morals, he's a man of dignity, but he is not a leader. He's just like Starmer. He's weak and he's boring.
And let me tell you, some of the Labour MPs and Labour councillors in Manchester absolutely despise despise Andy Burnham.
I think he's
the
going to have a
people
lot of
close
trouble
to him in the
around
Labour Party do not like him.
I think he's also going to have a lot of trouble around the national inquiry into grooming gangs. I sense that bubbling in the background. But also, just want to go back to onto the Times here for a second, because back off what you were saying about the Mandelson stuff, Jamie and Carol, because, of course, they're saying Mandelson emails add to pressure on Starmer. Now, so Keir Starmer's facing further questions. I'm reading this here for the audience's sake about his leadership after acknowledging he knew about emails between convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein and Lord Mandelson. And, of course, tomorrow there's going to be an emergency debate on this on the day that Donald Trump lands in the United Kingdom. This is a Prime Minister completely beleaguered, Carol.
And the thing is, whenever something goes wrong, Starmer always blames other people. He never takes responsibility. He says he didn't know about all those emails before he actually supported him in the Commons the other day. Well, if he didn't, he should have done. He's the Prime Minister, for God's sake. You can't be blaming your advisers for every bad thing that happens to you. That's why you have advisers, to tell you what... I mean, he actually said to who was it, Damien, whatever, you're supposed to protect me. No, you're the boss, you're in charge. But the problem with him is he has no political nous, he has no political judgment. And the idea of even appointing Peter Mandelson after his catastrophic record in government showed a huge lack of judgment.
Can I just ask you this, because Nigel Farage hasn't called for the Prime Minister to resign. As far as I'm aware, I don't think he's called...
He likes them being there.
I was going to say, this is good for reform.
Well,
surely this is good for reform.
And Kemi Badenoch's a great advert for Reform UK as well. But do you know what I'll say is very interesting about all of this is I think this Prime Minister is more despised by his own backbenchers than opposition parliamentarians. And I think that's why he gets an easy ride on scrutiny, because his own MPs want to scrutinise, but they're not allowed to. And the opposition, frankly, don't want to expose how bad he is.
Benjamin, are we going to see the Prime Minister just go soon? Maybe he
Not
might have had
soon.
enough.
But I tell you what, before the last election, Peter Mandelson was having private dinners at his apartment with prospective Labour MPs, all of whom won their seats. And so I tell you that because you cannot underestimate the influence that he has in this parliamentary Labour Party. So if Keir Starmer does go, maybe after the local elections, it'll be Mandy Watt done it. That is a man who can grind an axe.
Carol, do you think he's going to have much longer left? What do you think it will be that finishes him off?
I think he's going to have longer than Badenoch, that's for sure. I think she'll be gone by Christmas, and I think he'll probably be gone by the summer. But I think this is going to keep happening now every week. There hasn't been a month since he's been in power that there hasn't been a catastrophe or a calamity in government.
Yeah, OK.
No Prime Minister has gone through what he has.
Yeah, all right. Well, there's a boatload full of news I'll be sharing with you in just a moment. Before that, let's find out what's going to be in store for you tomorrow for your weather. And also, do you think Keir Starmer's finished? There is day after day here. We have literally report after report about him and his dealings in his government. Is it all over for Keir Starmer? We're going to be digging into that. See you shortly.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Things are turning a bit calmer and a bit drier overnight. That doesn't mean it's going to be completely calm and dry tomorrow. There will still be a few showers around, but many of us will see a little bit more in the way of sunshine. It's been a boisterous day thanks to this area of low pressure. Still very windy out there across parts of the south where the isobars are particularly close together, but it is starting to ease down through the night. Still some heavy downpours to come across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, and move back into North Wales later in the night as well. And a few showers keep going across Devon, Cornwall and Somerset. But many other areas will become drier. The wind's still fairly brisk, but coming generally a few notches down compared to today's very lively gusts. Temperatures start Tuesday about 10 or 11 Celsius. There will still be showers feeding into northern Scotland on a fairly brisk wind, but much of central and eastern Scotland having a fine sunny start to Tuesday. Much of Northern Ireland as well, but I suspect along the north coast staying fairly cloudy here. There's a line of thicker cloud and some showers that are going to feed across the Irish Sea into northwest England too, and we'll still have one or two scattered showers whizzing across southwest England. They will be moving through because the breeze will remain fairly brisk, and so we'll continue to see that zone of cloudier weather over southwest Scotland and northern England, provide a few showers that may get over the Pennines into the afternoon. One or two scattered showers continue over northern Scotland, but generally the east coast of Scotland, much of the Midlands and much of eastern England, dry and bright with some sunny spells. Winds lighter than today as well, and so feeling warmer. with temperatures high teens, low 20s. It doesn't last. Another area of low pressure out here spills more wet and windy weather across the country during Tuesday night. It tries to clear through the course of Wednesday, but the dull, damp weather may linger across the south and northern Scotland. But it should cheer up for Northern Ireland and northern England. Going to stay blustery, however, through Wednesday, with more showery rain to come through the week.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, 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 Starmer's socialist utopia is in meltdown. That is the front page of the Daily Mail. In fact, Keir Starmer's beleaguered premiership is almost on every single front page today. And that comes as Donald Trump, the President of the United States, is about to touch down in the United Kingdom. The Telegraph are saying he's going to go easy on Starmer. How humiliating for our Prime Minister, who said he was going to channel Winston Churchill, more like Neville Chamberlain, eh? More on that very, very soon.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers.